Hi, you're on Waves Unmasked. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, stay with us, and enjoy the show. I never thought the end of my marriage would arrive under a coffee mug. But that's how it happened. A beige envelope, unmarked, creased at the edges like someone had second-guessed even delivering it, was sitting beneath the rim of my cup one morning. I don't remember putting it there. I don't remember her handing it to me. Inside was a single page. No warmth, no messy handwriting, no explanation. Just clinical language stamped with the letterhead of a law firm I didn't recognize. My client, Eliza Stinwick, formally requests divorce proceedings be initiated immediately. Effective upon your reading of this letter, she requires 0 verbal or written communication. That was it. No warning. No fight. No slammed doors or shattered plates. Just a sterile decree that erased nearly a decade of my life in a sentence and a half. I sat there for a long time, staring at the paper, trying to make sense of it. My coffee went cold, bitter on my tongue, and when I finally set the mug down, I opened our banking app almost by instinct. And that's when the floor dropped out from under me. Zeros. Empty. Our shared savings account. Gone. The emergency fund I'd been building since my father's heart attack. Gone. Even the small travel account we kept for vacations that never seemed to come emptied overnight. While I slept, every cent I thought we'd built together had been extracted. No message, no explanation, not even a voicemail. The silence was its own cruelty. She hadn't just left. She had stripped the house bare of sound. Even the Wi-Fi router was gone. You might think I stormed out, cursed, broke something. I didn't. I just opened the fridge. A carton of almond milk sat on the shelf. She always hated almond milk. I bought it only for her. She left it behind like it was mine. I poured a glass but couldn't drink it. The taste of abandonment was already too strong in my mouth. The rest of that morning blurred into phone calls. Banks, attorneys, anyone who might help. They all asked questions I couldn't answer. Where was she now? Did I have forwarding information? Did I know which accounts she'd transferred to? I didn't even know what city she was in. But there was one thing Eliza hadn't considered, and maybe the only reason I didn't fall apart completely. She'd forgotten about the trust, her photography business, her travel card, her freelance payment streams. They were all still tied to a trust under my name. She'd begged me to help her set it up last year, when she didn't qualify on her own. One phone call was all it took. One line of verification. One breath I didn't know I was holding. Would you like to suspend the account while this is under review, sir? Yes, I said. Yes, I would. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't rant. I didn't even cry. I just waited. And exactly 72 hours later, to the second, she broke her silence. Not with an apology. Not even with an explanation, but with something that nearly made me throw up in the street. Her silence cracked, not with a phone call, not with a letter, but with a voice memo. 2 minutes and some seconds, sent from a number I didn't recognize, attached to an email titled, simply, Unacceptable. I played it while walking down Main Street, the sound of traffic around me, and I nearly threw up right there on the sidewalk. Her voice was dry, stripped of warmth, a tone I'd never heard from her before. Curtis, I'll make this simple. Freezing the accounts wasn't smart. It was petty. I gave you an exit that didn't require drama. If you think this is going to get you leverage, it won't. You have until noon to fix this, or I escalate. Noon. Like I was a contractor behind schedule. like our marriage had been reduced to a transaction with deadlines. But it wasn't the ultimatum that shook me the hardest. It was what she added next. This was never about hurting you. You were convenient, and for a while that was enough. But I can't keep living like that. Convenient. That word landed heavier than the drained bank accounts, heavier than the lawyer's letter. Like I'd been the old couch she kept until the new one arrived. For the first time since the envelope, something in me shifted. Not anger, yet. Something sharper, colder. Because what she didn't know was that I hadn't just frozen the trust. I had started tracking it. Every deposit, every client, every drip of her secret life bleeding into mine. And there it was, regular weekly deposits, from a name I didn't recognize, SK Consulting. Memo lines labeled package fulfillment. I called the number tied to one of the transfers, pulse hammering. A cheerful man answered, too casual, too friendly. "Oh, are you Eliza's assistant?" My mouth went dry. "Yes," I said. "Perfect," he continued, oblivious. "Tell her the last drop-off went fine, but she's behind on the shoot schedule. Hope she's not burning out again like she did in Tulum." Tulum. Monaco. Places she'd never mentioned to me. Places that had never once touched our carefully budgeted calendars. This wasn't a woman escaping a bad marriage. This was a woman running an entirely separate life, down to her income streams and international contacts. And then came the black car. 6 hours after that call, a sedan with tinted windows rolled up across from my house. A man stepped out, phone in hand, clipboard tucked under his arm. He didn't knock, didn't ask questions. He just stood there, staring directly at my door. I watched from the upstairs bathroom window, my breath shallow, every sound in the house amplified. Pipes groaning, leaves scraping against the siding. The man stood there for 15 minutes, made one call while still facing my windows, then drove off without a word. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the hallway with the lights off, listening, waiting for a knock that never came. The next morning, around 10:42 a.m., I got an alert. Someone had tried to access my front door camera feed remotely, more than once. They hadn't succeeded, but they had tried. And the thing was, the system wasn't even under her name. She shouldn't have known the login. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just a divorce anymore. This was orchestration. The lead came from one of the trust deposits, Ardan Logistics. The memo line read, "Cold storage drop." The account tied back to a facility outside Albany. I drove there in a borrowed van, knuckles white on the wheel, telling myself it was just another dead end. But the moment I pulled into the cracked parking lot and saw the half-abandoned storage yard, I knew it wasn't. The clerk's face tightened when I asked about a unit under Eliza's name. I lied, called myself her assistant. He hesitated, then muttered, "Big unit, expensive, always locked." That's when the black sedan pulled in. The same man stepped out, clipboard in hand, moving with the kind of calm that made my skin crawl. He walked straight toward me. "You're Peter Ellison, right?" he asked. I blinked, every nerve firing at once. "No," I said. He smiled faintly. "Sure. That's what we all say first." I turned, got into the van, pretended to check my phone, hands shaking so hard I nearly dropped it. When I looked up, he was still watching me, arms crossed, like he already knew where I would go next. That night, back home, I opened the old lockbox we once used for birth certificates and deeds. Inside was an envelope I didn't remember ever seeing, a recent photo of Eliza, arm around a man I didn't recognize, and 3 words scrawled on the back. You were warned. But what chilled me more was the faint barcode printed on the corner of the envelope, the kind used for internal inventory. I typed the code online. It pinged. Active status. Location. Dock 9C. The next morning I drove there. It wasn't a warehouse. It was a shuttered post office, flag torn, windows boarded. Yet the keypad on the side door blinked green when I approached. Clearance required, it read. But when I touched the handle, it turned. Freely. Inside, the air was cold and metallic, the silence manufactured. Emergency bulbs lit a narrow corridor. At the third corner, a security desk flickered with monitors. One of them showed me right there. Live, frozen in the hallway. And for a split second, another figure appeared behind me on the feed. I spun. Nothing. Then I saw the envelope on the desk, my name on the front. Inside, a flash drive. I plugged it in. The video started immediately. Eliza walked into frame. Red coat. The same one she wore the night she said she was visiting her sister. She sat beside a man in a suit. Her voice was clinical. He won't fight back. If we move the accounts and break contact quickly, he'll collapse inward. That's what the profile showed. The man nodded. 72 hours minimum. Can you keep him numb that long? She smiled. He'll probably still be blaming himself by then. I froze, not just at her words, but at the certainty in her tone, like she'd rehearsed this, like I wasn't a husband, but an assignment. And then I remembered the man at the storage yard. Peter Ellison. I searched the old PC connected to the desk. Buried inside was a folder. Ellison, P-Born 1977-524. My stomach turned as I clicked. Surveillance footage. My own kitchen. Eliza on the phone. Her voice low, urgent. No, he doesn't know. If he finds out who he really is, what happened before the transfer, this falls apart. A male voice replied calmly. You're under protection. He won't remember unless someone triggers it. Documents followed. Flight records from Belgium. Medical scans. My face, but under the name Peter Ellison. A signature I didn't recognize. A file labeled Behavioral Reassignment. Asset C12. Status terminated. My hand slipped from the keyboard, slick with sweat. Had I been someone else? Was I just a project? A profile to be managed, studied, erased? I left Dock 9C before the walls could swallow me whole. That night, I packaged the flash drive and duplicates of the files, sent them anonymously to 3 investigative newsrooms. If Eliza had been sent to manage me, then her plan wasn't just betrayal, it was engineering, and I wasn't going to let it disappear in silence. Weeks later, I got a single letter, handwritten. No return address. You were never supposed to wake up. No threat. No explanation. But I read it as confirmation. Because I'd woken up, and I wasn't afraid anymore. I left the house, closed the accounts, moved somewhere no one called me Curtis or Peter. Just me. Now I teach photography to kids, something I'd given up while trying to please a woman who only saw me as convenient. I water the plants she left behind, not because I want reminders, but because they deserve to live. For the first time, my life is unknown again, but this time, it's on my own terms.